I'd hate to sit here and just expose people, but a lot of your favorite celebrities are out here with some dark skeletons in their closet. A couple of these celebrities allegedly killed other people, sometimes by accident, sometimes in self-defense. What's really crazy though is how few people know about these stories. The first name on this list probably isn't too shocking, cause back in the day, Gucci Mane had a reputation for being rap's biggest menace to society. I'm talking in and out of court, allegedly bottling a soldier, multiple felony charges, all that good stuff. While the 2023 Gucci Mane has cleaned up his act a lot and is probably more known for promoting a healthier, more stress-free lifestyle, back in 2005, he was looking at some serious time over a potential murder case. Gucci was at a friend's place when 5 men forced their way into the apartment and threatened him at gunpoint. After allegedly punching Gucci and pistol whipping his companion, a struggle broke out and Gucci managed to shoot back. The assailants fled the crib. Days later, a body was found buried behind a local middle school. The deceased man was Pookie Lock, a 27-year-old who was connected to Young Jeezy and his label CTE. The whole incident allegedly stemmed from a bounty that Jeezy had put on Gucci's chain. Jeezy and Gucci were both heavyweights in the Atlanta rap game, but their relationship deteriorated after they collabed on a hit song called So Icy. Rumor had it that Pookie Lock ran up on Gucci to jack his chain that night, but ended up with a bullet instead. Gucci Mane was charged with murder and then turned himself in. He admitted that he fired shots at the home invaders, but only did so out of self-defense. After months of investigation, the DA finally dropped the charges due to insufficient evidence. The whole situation looks like a cut and dry act of self-defense, but it almost tanked Gucci's career. The fallout on Pookie Lock's death lasted a long time. Gucci bragged about the shooting in a notorious diss song called The Truth, while Jeezy denied sending Pookie to rob Gucci on his own track, Forgive Me. The tensions came to a head during Gucci and Jeezy's versus battle in 2020, where Gucci again confronted Jeezy and made jokes about ending Pookie Lock's life. Since that night, tensions have cooled off. The two of them made amends and they even performed together, but the shooting definitely casted a long-lasting shadow over Gucci's career. Then there's Ferris Bueller himself, Matthew Broderick. In 1987, he was driving around Northern Ireland in a rented BMW with his girlfriend, Jennifer Grey. Grey co-starred with Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but they managed to keep their relationship a secret until Broderick steered his car into the wrong lane. His Beamer crashed head-on into a Volvo, killing Anna Gallagher, the 28-year-old driver, and her mother, a 63-year-old woman named Margaret Doherty. The accident was so serious that Broderick ended up unconscious and had amnesia. In fact, the sole surviving witness was Jennifer Grey, who stayed awake even after she suffered severe whiplash. Meanwhile, Matthew Broderick spent 4 weeks in a Belfast hospital recovering from his injuries and claimed to have zero memory of the accident or how he ended up in the wrong lane. There's a lot of tabloid gossip about Matthew drinking before the accident, but both him and Jennifer Grey have strongly denied those rumors, claiming that Broderick was stone cold sober. The seriousness of the accident led to Matthew Broderick being hit with death by dangerous driving charges, a crime that could have led up to 5 years in prison. Instead, he was convicted on a lesser charge and got hit with a $175 fine, which outraged a lot of people, especially the families of the victims. Still, Matthew Broderick managed to put any potential controversy behind him, to the point that very few of his fans seemed to even know that the car crash happened. Now let's talk about Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's career was just taking off when he got hit with murder charges. While recording Doggy Style in 1993, Snoop got put into an issue outside of his apartment building in the Palms neighborhood of LA. He just pulled up to his building with his bodyguard when he spotted a crew of rival gang members posted up eating Mexican food. Right away, Snoop recognized one of the gang members as Little Phillip, who previously pulled a gun on Snoop during a video shoot. Things got heated right away, with Snoop's bodyguard McKinley Lee, also known as Malik, and Little Phillip both reaching for their weapons. Malik allegedly shot at and killed Little Phillip while he was standing in Snoop's topless Jeep. Snoop quickly drove the two of them off and ended up on the run from LAPD. Even though Snoop was never the alleged shooter in this situation, both he and Malik were facing murder charges. And Snoop was about to be on top of the world. He just got the cosign from Dr. Dre. He just signed to Suge Knight's Death Row Records. He really had it going on, and he was just on the cusp of losing it all. Snoop would eventually turn himself into police custody, but not until after he hit the red carpet at the VMA Awards. Both Snoop and Malik were facing a high-profile murder charge, but they were lucky enough to have the legendary defense attorney Johnny Cochran, the same man who would defend O.J. Simpson, on their side. In 1996, both Snoop and Malik were finally found found not guilty and walked out of the courtroom as free men. While a murder case might be the killing blow for a lot of artists' careers, it actually made a major mark on Snoop Dogg's artistry and influenced him to change his lifestyle. Lil Phillip's death convinced Snoop to put the street life behind him and focus 100% of his energy on more lucrative endeavors. At the same time, it influenced one of Snoop's most legendary songs, Murder Was the Case, which spawned a short film with its own soundtrack and an iconic MTV performance where Snoop declared his innocence in front of the world. Venus Williams was already at the top of her game when she was blamed for a car crash that killed a 78-year-old man named Jerome Barson. Venus was leaving her neighborhood in a 2010 Toyota Sequoia when another car driven by an unidentified driver cut her off. Venus was forced to stop and wait for the other car to clear the way, but when she started moving again, she was hit by a Hyundai driven by Barson's wife, Linda, who slammed into Venus's car at 40 miles an hour. Linda was uninjured, but her husband Jerome died 13 days later. While the police initially said that Venus was at fault, they later realized that the other car, the sedan that cut off Venus's SUV in the first place, started a chain reaction that led to the accident. Venus was cleared of any legal wrongdoings, but she settled a lawsuit filed against her by Jerome Barson's estate. The whole situation is clearly tragic and regretful, especially because the person who caused the entire accident was never caught and Venus got accused for everything wrong. Speaking of fatal accidents, we have to talk about Caitlyn Jenner and her role in a fatal 4-car pileup back in 2015. In February of that year, Caitlyn was driving through Malibu in an Escalade at an unsafe speed, according to the local sheriff's department. The Escalade smashed into the back of a Lexus, pushing the car into oncoming traffic. The driver of that Lexus, a 69-year-old woman named Kim Howie, was killed after her car crashed head-on into another vehicle. The crash got a ton of media attention, partially due to Caitlyn's high-profile Kardashian association, and also because of the severity of the crash. One crash victim suffered a cervical spine fracture. Another victim, a successful pianist and composer, claimed to have nerve damage on his hands and wrists. Ultimately, Caitlyn didn't face any criminal charges in the accident. Prosecutors said there was no evidence that Caitlyn was driving in a negligent manner, so they opted not to file manslaughter charges. Still, Caitlyn was hit with multiple lawsuits from victims and their families. It was reported that she paid out $800,000 to one family in a settlement. Caitlyn has since gone on to run for governor of California, and one of the crash victims, Leah Wolf-Malesi, didn't outright dismiss the idea of possibly voting for her. The one thing that all these celebrities have in common is that none of these situations really seem to stop their careers, no matter how controversial, crazy, or dark things got. In fact, they all ended up going on to become even more successful. So what does this mean? At the end of the day, maybe you just gotta be rich, famous, and well-connected to get away with pretty much anything.